To graph number 6, the first thing what we're going to do is first of all recognize that this is in the unfactored form. So we're going to first of all factor the b coefficient out, which is negative 2 over 3. And that allows us to get our a, b, our period, c, and d. Now one thing to note is that because that b value is negative, we want to make sure that we understand how to draw this. And I'm going to draw it from right to left instead of left to right as we would normally do. Now you can still draw it left to right if you like, but you have to be careful when you do that. So it makes it a little bit easier for me anyways, if I want to draw it right to left. So the first thing to identify is an a value, which is our amplitude. So that amplitude is going to be given by that 4. The b value is 2/3. Which makes the period 2 pi over b, which is 2/3. So that makes that 3 pi. So it's horizontal expansion by 1.5. Okay, it's also been a horizontal flip, so that again that means that we're going to graph in this direction instead of left to right. Once we have the factored form, we have our c value. This is going to be positive 3 pi over 4. And then our d value, which is our vertical shift, ends up being equal to positive 4. Okay, so I'll start there. I'm going to have my positive 4. Okay, this represents my middle line, my d value. That's going to be at y equals 4. And then my horizontal shift is pi over 3. Sorry, 3 pi over 4. So I'm going to say that that's about pi here. And so that's going to make 3 pi over 4 right about there. So that's going to represent my starting position. And I'm going to go from right to left. So I need my period. So the period is 3 pi. So I'm going to go backwards 3 pi. So that's going to be about 1 pi about here, 2 pi, and negative 3 pi is right about here. Okay, so that's going to be negative 3 pi, negative 2 pi, negative pi. So 3 pi over 4 minus 3 pi is going to give us to negative 2 1/4, or in this case it's going to be, we'll just write it as 9 pi over 4. Okay, so we're going to subtract 12 pi over 4 from 3 pi over 4. We get negative 9 pi over 4. So this is my ending position. Okay, and then we want to find the middle position. We want to work out our quadrants. So to work out the quadrants, I'm going to find the middle. So the average value of negative 9 pi over 4 plus 3 pi over 4, I'm going to add those together and divide by 2. I'm going to end up with looks like negative 6 pi over 4, and then divide by 2, that's going to be negative 3 pi over 4, which is right about there. So I'll draw in my middle position here, halfway, and then this is going to, the y-axis represents the division between my second and between my third and fourth quadrants, and then averaging out negative 9 pi over 4 with 3 pi over 4 is going to give us, I'm going to add those together to get 12 pi over 4, divide by 2, I get negative 6 pi over 4, which is negative 3 pi over 2. Okay, so that position is going to be negative 3 pi over 2. Okay, we can see visually that they're in the right positions and we've divided the quadrants up. Okay, so I have my first, second, and third and fourth quadrants here. Now to draw this, once I've done this, I'm going to use my amplitude to draw this. And it is a sine graph, so I'm going to start in the middle. And then I'm going to go up to up 4 to go to positive 8. And come back down to the middle. I'm going to go down to the bottom. So using my amplitude of 4 and my middle line of 4, and back to 0 and back up to my middle line. Okay, and notice again that I'm going, instead of going left to right as I normally do, because of the negative 3 pi over, sorry, 2 over 3 for the B value, that negative value is going to flip horizontally, and that means that my graph's going to go in this direction, and I can draw my 4 quadrants in this direction, which is my backwards direction. Okay, so there's my graph. Now, if you really wanted to, you could draw the same graph from that same starting point of 3 pi over 4, positive 3 pi over 4. Instead of going up as a sine normally would, we could draw it going down in this direction. Okay, so that you can still draw it from left to right if you like, but then you have to remember that you have to account for the fact that a horizontal flip would be the same as a vertical flip, and instead of going up, you go down to start. Okay, so there's one period of that graph.